The quiet did not last. 3 weeks after the attack on the Karath outpost, the sensors screamed. A massive fleet dropped out of warp near the edge of the L-29 system, the very place Earth and the Vey had chosen to hide. Red lights, jagged shapes, no signals, no warnings. The Karath had come, and they brought an army. Paul Greer was in the command room when the alert hit. He didn't move fast. He moved calm. He had known this day would come. "All ships," he said into the comms. "Battle stations, shields up, weapons hot. This is not a drill." The fleet responded at once. The vanguard turned to face the enemy. The other Earth ships formed a line. The Vey vessels moved into stealth mode, vanishing from sight. On the screens, the Karath fleet grew larger. 10 warships, dozens of drones, all shaped like blades, all glowing red. "They mean to wipe us out," Linda Walsh said. "Then we make them pay for every second," Paul said. He turned to the fleet channel. "Remember the plan. We don't fight like them. We don't charge. We move. We strike. We disappear. Hit their weak points. Break their lines. Protect the Vey colony on the moon." The colony was new. A small base built in caves where the rescued Vey and a few humans lived. Women, children, elders. If the Karath reached it, there would be no mercy. The battle began. The Karath fired first. A wave of plasma bolts lit up space. The Earth fleet dodged, weaving in tight patterns. Rail cannons fired back. One Karath ship took a direct hit. Its side cracked open. It spun, damaged, but more came. Drones swarmed like insects. They were fast, small, hard to hit. 2 Earth fighters were destroyed in seconds. "We're losing the edge," Jake Morris said from the engine room. "They're adapting." "Then we change the game," Paul said. "Activate the decoy fleet." "Tommy," Reed smiled. He hit a button. From behind the moon, 20 drone ships, old, empty, but rigged with lights and fake signals, flew into view. They looked like a full fleet. They sent out engine noise, fake comms, false heat. The Karath took the bait. Half. Their fleet turned, chasing the decoys into deep space. "Now," Paul said, "hit the main group." The vanguard fired a gravity pulse built from Veytech. Space bent around one Karath warship. It slowed, stuck in a bubble of warped time. 2. Rail cannons fired at once. The ship exploded. The remaining Karath ships regrouped. They formed a tight wall, shields forward. Paul saw it. "They're going for the moon." He turned to Dean, captain of the Horizon. "You and the Storm take the left. We'll draw fire. You hit their flank." "On my way," Dean said. The vanguard moved forward, alone. It fired all weapons, rail shots, plasma, missiles. It drew the enemy's full attention. The Karath focused on it. That's when the Horizon and the Storm struck. They came from behind the planet's magnetic field unseen. They fired everything. One Karath ship died, then another. The wall broke. But the cost was high. The Horizon took a direct hit. Its engines failed. It drifted, dead in space. "Abandon ship," Dean said over comms. "Repeat, abandon ship." Rescue. Pods launched. Earth fighters flew in, picking up the crew. Paul felt the loss, but he did not stop. All remaining ships, focus on the lead warship. That's their command. Kill it, and the rest will falter. The battle raged. Vev ships uncloaked, firing from hidden spots. Human fighters dove in, launched missiles, and vanished. The vanguard took hit after hit. Its shields dropped to 30%, then 20%. "We can't hold much longer," Linda said. "We don't have to," Paul said. "Just a little longer." Then, something changed. The Karath command ship began to pull back. "Are they retreating?" Jake asked. "No," Linda said. "Look, its core is glowing. It's charging a final shot, big enough to wipe out the moon." Paul saw it too. The energy buildup was massive. "We have to stop it," he said, "before it fires." But the Vanguard was too far, too slow. Then a voice came over the comms. It was Kale. "I will do it." "No," Paul said. "It's suicide." "It is honor," Kale said. "The Vey do not run. We stand. For our home. For our friends." Before Paul could stop him, Kale's small ship, a fast scout craft, sped forward. It flew straight at the Karath. "Command ship!" The enemy fired. Shots hit the little ship. It spun, lost a wing, but it kept going. "Kale, pull back!" Linda shouted. No reply. The ship crashed into the Karath vessel, right into the glowing core. A flash, then silence. The Karath command ship exploded in a wave of fire and light. The shockwave knocked nearby ships aside. Drones shut down. Systems died. The rest of the Karath fleet hesitated. Then, one by one, they turned. They jumped into warp. They were gone. The battlefield was still. The Vanguard floated, damaged but alive. Rescue ships moved among the wreckage. Survivors were pulled from broken vessels, but there was no sign of Kale. Paul stood on the bridge, silent. His hands were clenched. His eyes were dry, but his heart was heavy. Linda placed a hand on his shoulder. "He saved us. He saved them all," Paul said. On the moon, the people came out of the caves. They and humans stood together, looking up at the sky. They had won. But it did not feel like victory. Days passed. The fleet repaired. The dead were honored. Kale's name was carved into the wall of the Vanguard, beside the names of all who had fallen. Then, something unexpected happened. Signal came. Not from Earth. Not from the Karath. From deep space. A new voice. We saw. We heard. "Earth and Vey stand together. You fought with courage. You are not alone." Paul read the message twice. "Who is it?" Linda asked. "Don't know, but they're not Karath. The signal is clean, peaceful. Do we answer?" "Yes," Paul said. "Tell them, we are here. We will protect those who cannot protect themselves. If you are our friends, show yourselves." The reply came fast. "We will come. In peace." The war was not over. The Karath would return. But now Earth was not just a planet. It was a symbol, a message. When the aliens thought allies were coming, they expected an army of conquerors. But Earth showed up instead. And Earth did not come to rule. It came to fight for life. Paul stood on the observation deck, looking at the stars. Linda joined him. "Do you think others will come?" she asked. "I hope so," he said. "Not to fight, but to stand with us." She smiled. "Then maybe this is just the beginning." He nodded. Far away, in the dark, new, lights began to shine. Ships, many ships, moving toward them, in peace. The galaxy had heard, and it was answering. The jump was rough. The fleet came out of warp spinning, engines screaming. Alarms blared on every ship. Lights flickered. Crew members grabbed their seats, hearts pounding. They had escaped the Karath trap, but just barely. Paul Greer stood, on the bridge, holding the command rail, his face tight. "Damage report," he said, voice calm. "Minor hull stress on the Vanguard," Linda Walsh said, reading the screen. "One fighter lost. No other ships damaged. All crew accounted for," Paul nodded. "Good. We live to fight another day." But he didn't feel relief. He felt anger. The Karath had tried to kill them. They had used a dying Vey ship as bait. They had no honor, no mercy. They saw life as something to crush, and they thought Earth was weak. "They don't know who we are," Paul said, turning to the crew. "Let's teach them." The fleet moved deeper into the dark. They found a quiet spot between two dead stars, a place so cold and empty that even cosmic dust avoided it. Here, they stopped. They had a plan now, not just to survive, to strike back. On the Vanguard, Paul called a war meeting. Human captains, VE leaders, engineers, medics, pilots, all came. KL sat beside Paul, his 3 eyes dark with grief and fire. "We have learned much," KL said. "The Karath are strong, but they are not perfect. They rely on signals, on patterns. They do not expect surprise." "That's our edge," Paul said. "We don't fight like them. We don't move like them. We use our minds, our speed, our will." He turned to Jake Morris. "How's the cloaking system?" "Better," Jake said. "We fixed the power drain. Now we can stay hidden for up to 6 hours. Longer if we shut down non-essential systems." "Good. We'll need it." Tommy Reed stood up. "I've studied the Karath signals. They use a repeating code, like a heartbeat. If we can mimic it, we can fool their sensors." "Can we send a fake distress call?" Paul asked. "Yes. We can make them. Think a VE ship is trapped. Draw them in." "And then?" asked Dean, the human captain. "Then we kill them," Paul said. "Fast. Quiet. No warning." The plan took shape. They would find a Karath outpost, a small base where they stored fuel, repaired ships, sent signals. The VE knew of one, hidden, near a black hole called M7. It was dangerous. The gravity was strong. Light bent. Time slowed. But it was perfect for an ambush. "They won't expect us to go there," Linda said. "No sane fleet would." "Then we're not sane," Paul said. "We're smart." The fleet prepared. Ships were stripped down, weapons loaded. Fighters armed with new warheads, Earth-made, VE-designed, built to pierce Karath armor. Medics, packed emergency kits. Pilots trained in zero-light combat. Kale spoke to his people. "This is not just about survival. This is about honor. We have run long enough. Now we stand. For our dead. For our future. For those who came to help us when no one else would." The VE cheered, a sound like wind through glass. 2 weeks later, the fleet jumped toward M7. The black hole was a monster. It did not shine. It did not move. It just was. Stars behind it bent into rings of light. Time slowed near its edge. One wrong move, and a ship would be pulled in, crushed, gone. But the outpost was there, half hidden behind a frozen moon, built into the rock. It was small but vital. A hub for Karath scouts, a listening post, a fuel depot, and it was guarded. 3 Karath drones circled it, slow, steady, blind to what was coming. The vanguard cloaked. So did 2 other ships. They drifted in silence, engines off, heat dampened, lights out. They looked like space junk. Harmless, dead. Tommy sent the signal, a fake distress call in perfect VE code. "Help, we are lost. Karath near. Please, someone, come." The drones paused. Then one turned. It moved toward the source of the signal, deep in the dark. The second followed. The third stayed. Paul waited. Let them get far enough. When the drones were out of range, he gave the order. "Attack!" The vanguard fired. A rail shot, silent and fast, hit the outpost's main power unit. It exploded in a flash of blue fire. The lights died. The shields dropped. 2 human fighters shot in, launching plasma missiles. They struck the fuel tanks. A chain reaction began. Fire spread. Metal melted. The third drone turned, but too late. VE ship fired a gravity pulse. The drone froze, caught in a field of warped space. Then, a rail cannon from the vanguard blew it apart. The outpost was burning. But it wasn't over. Deep inside, something powered up. A beacon. It sent one short burst. A warning. "They're calling for help," Linda said. "Then we go faster," Paul said. "All ships, move in. Take what you can. Data, weapons, fuel. Then destroy the rest." Teams boarded the outpost. Humans in armor, VE in stealth suits moving like shadows. They found control rooms, weapons lockers, fuel lines. They downloaded data. They planted charges. And they found something else. A prison. Inside, dozens of beings, they and others, were locked in cold cells, starved, hurt, alive. Maria Ellis led the rescue. "We're here," she said, breaking the locks. "You're safe now," the prisoners cried. Some could not walk. Others hugged the rescuers like family. They had been captured weeks ago, used for work, for tests, for nothing. "The Karath do not care," one Vey man said. "They only take." "Not anymore," Maria said. In less than an hour, the outpost was empty. The prisoners were on the ships. The data was secure. The charges were set. Paul stood on the bridge watching the burning base, set the timer. 5 minutes. As the fleet pulled back, the charges exploded. The outpost shattered. Fuel tanks blew. The moon cracked. The fire burned bright against the black hole's dark. Then, silence. They had won. But Paul knew the truth. This was not the end. It was the start. The Karath would come. They would come in force. They would be angry, and Earth would be ready. Back. On the Vanguard, Paul gathered the crew. "Today, we did more than survive. We struck back. We saved lives. We showed the Karath that we are not prey." Linda stood beside him. "They thought allies were coming. They thought it was their army." "But it wasn't," Paul said. "It was us." The crew didn't cheer. They didn't need to. They stood tall. They looked at each other with pride. They were not just soldiers. They were protectors. That night, Cale came to Paul. "You did not have to help us," he said. "You could have turned away. You could have run." "We're not that kind of people," Paul said. Cale placed a hand on his chest. "Then I swear this. The Vey will stand with Earth. Now. And always." Paul nodded. "Then we fight together." The fleet jumped away from M7. Behind them, the ruins floated in silence. Ahead, the stars waited. And somewhere the Karath heard the news. Earth had arrived, and they were not afraid. The jump was smooth. One moment, the fleet was near the broken planet in the Epsilon Eridani system. The next, they were deep in uncharted space, far from any star. The silence here was deeper. The stars looked different, closer, brighter, like they were watching. The fleet slowed. Sensors scanned every direction. No enemy, no signals, no signs of life. They had made it, for now. They were safe. Paul Greer stood on the bridge of the Vanguard, arms crossed, eyes on the main screen. Beside him, Linda Walsh checked the data. "All ships accounted for," she said. "Vey vessels. Intact. No damage from the jump." "Good," Paul said. "We rest here for 24 hours. Let everyone recover. Then we move again." They were not staying. This place was just a stop, a breath between storms. Their real destination was a system called L29, a quiet red dwarf star with 3 rocky planets and 1 moon that might support life. It was far from known space. No signals had ever come from there. No ships had ever been seen. It was the perfect hiding place. But first, they had work to do. On the Vanguard's lower decks, human and Vey engineers worked side by side. The Vey ship that had been damaged was now docked to the Vanguard. Its hull was patched with Earth steel. Its power core had been replaced with a human fusion reactor, stronger and more stable. "This should hold," Jake Morris said, wiping sweat from his brow. He was working with a Vey tech named Nira, who had 4 thin fingers and eyes that glowed faintly in the dark. Nira tapped a tool against the panel. A soft chime sounded. "Power flow is stable. Systems online." "Nice," Jake said, grinning. "We make a good team." Nira tilted her head. "You are loud, but skilled. High praise," Jake laughed. Elsewhere in the medical bay, Maria Ellis treated the last of the injured Vey. Their bodies were fragile, their blood silver, their hearts beating in 3 parts. Maria had spent days learning how to help them. Now she moved with confidence. "You'll be fine," she told a young Vey child, placing a soft bandage on its arm. "Just rest." The child looked up at her. "You are kind." Maria smiled. "So are you." In the command room, Paul and Kale met with the captains of both fleets. "We can't hide forever," Paul said. "The Karath will follow. They always do." Kyle nodded. "They track us by our energy, our signals, our jumps. Then we stop making noise," Paul said. "We turn off all non-essential systems. We jump in short bursts. We don't stay in one place." "And if they find us?" asked a human captain named Dean. "Then we fight," Paul said, "but not like last time. We don't wait. We strike first, we hit hard, and we make them regret coming." There was silence. Then, one by one, the captains nodded. They were not just running, they were preparing. Over the next days, training began. Human Marines practiced boarding drills on empty Vey ships. Vey pilots learned to fly Earth fighters, small and fast, built for chaos. The Vanguard's weapons team taught the Vey how to use rail cannons. In return, the Vey showed humans how to cloak a ship, how to bend light and sound so nothing could see them. "It's like becoming a shadow," Tommy Reed said, amazed after a demo. "Yes," Nira said, "and shadows do not warn their prey." Linda spent her time with Kale, learning about the Karath. "They do not speak," he told her. "They do not take prisoners. They do not stop until every living thing is gone." "Why?" she asked. "Because they can. Because they believe they are the only true life in the galaxy." "That's madness." "Madness with power," Kyle said. "Their ships are many. Their weapons burn whole cities in seconds. They do not fear death. They welcome it." Linda felt a chill. "Then we can't fight them head on." "No, we must be smarter, quieter, faster." Paul agreed. "We use the dark. We use surprise. We hit their weak points." And so the plan grew. They would not wait for the Karath to come. They would find them first. 3 weeks passed. The fleet moved in silence, jumping from one dark point to another. They left no trail, sent no signals, ate stored food, drank recycled water. The stars turned around them. Then, on day 23, the sensors beeped. A signal. Faint. Broken. But there, Linda saw it first. "Paul," she said, "we've got something. Coming from a dead system. About 2 jumps away. Karath? Maybe. Or a Vey distress call." Paul came to her station. He looked at the data. His face went hard. "It's a Vey frequency. Weak, repeating. Help. We are trapped. They are coming." "Another group?" Linda asked. "Must be. A ship that escaped later. One we didn't know about. We have to go." "It's a trap," Paul said. "They want us to come." "Maybe. But if there are still Vey alive, we can't leave them." Linda looked at him. "That's who we are, isn't it? We don't leave people behind." Paul was quiet for a long time. Then, he turned to the comms. "All ships set course. We jump in 1 hour." The fleet moved. They arrived near a dead star, its light long gone. Around it, a shattered planet floated, broken into pieces. Metal ruins hung in space, what was left of a city maybe, or a shipyard. And there, caught in the planet's wake, gravity, was a small Vey vessel. No lights, no movement, just floating. "They're not responding," Tommy said. "But the signal is still coming," Linda said. "From inside." Paul ordered 2 fighters to approach. They flew close, scanning. Then the ship moved. Not on its own, something came out from under it. A Karath drone, small, black, shaped like a spike. It fired without warning. 1 fighter was hit. It spun out of control, crashing into the planet's debris. "Enemy contact," Paul shouted. "Battle stations!" More drones appeared, dozens of them, rising from the wreckage like insects. The Earth fleet fired. Rail cannons lit up the dark. Plasma bolts cut through the swarm, but the drones were fast. They dodged. They split. They kept coming. "They're drawing us in," Linda said. "This whole place is a trap." Paul saw it now. The V ship was bait. The drones were the first wave. The real Karath fleet would come next. "We can't stay," he said. "Pull back the fighters, prepare to jump." But before the order could go out, a new signal hit the sensors. Big, powerful, close. A Karath warship dropped out of warp, huge, jagged, covered in spikes and red lights. It was 3 times the size of the Vanguard. Its main cannon glowed with deadly energy. "They're charging a shot," Linda said. "It'll hit the Vanguard in 30 seconds. Paul didn't panic. "Activate the cloaking field, now." The Vatex had installed the device just days before. It was untested in battle. Lights dimmed. Engines hushed. The Vanguard vanished from sight. The Karath fired. A beam of red energy cut through space, right where the Vanguard had been. It missed. The other Earth ships fired back. Missiles launched. Rail shots struck the Karath ship's side. Armor cracked. Fire burst out. The Karath ship turned, searching, but the Vanguard was already moving. "Jump in 10 seconds, Paul said. The fleet vanished again. As they left, Linda looked at the screen. The Karath ship was still there, turning in the dark, like a beast that had lost its prey. She let out a breath. "They thought we were weak," she said. "They were wrong." Paul looked at her. "Next time, we won't run." "Next time," she said, "we'll be ready." The fleet jumped into the void. Behind them, the trap lay empty. Ahead, the war was just beginning. The moment the first explosion lit up the dark, the bridge of the Vanguard snapped to life. Red lights flashed. Alarms rang low and steady. Crew members moved fast, hands flying over controls, eyes locked on screens. Paul Greer stood in the center, calm, his voice firm. "Report," he said. "3 enemy vessels just dropped out of warp near the gas giant," said Linda Walsh, her fingers tapping the console. "They're firing plasma lances. High energy. No hails sent." "Shields up," Paul ordered. "All ships, form defensive line. Protect the damaged vessel." The Earth fleet moved like a single mind. The 12 capital ships shifted into a curved wall, placing themselves between the fleeing black ships and the new attackers. Fighter drones launched from the carriers, small and fast, cutting through space like silver fish. The enemy, tall, jagged ships with red glowing edges, kept firing. Their shots were powerful, but slow to reload. The Earth ships dodged with sharp turns, using their smaller size and better engines. "They're not used to movement like ours," said Tommy Reed, who was now on the Vanguard as data analyst. "Their aim is good, but they don't expect us to change direction so fast." "Good," Paul said. "Keep confusing them." A rail cannon on the Vanguard fired. A long metal rod, no bigger than a pole, shot forward at 10,000 times. The speed of sound. It hit one of the enemy ships dead in the side. The armor cracked. Fire burst out in zero gravity, freezing instantly into black ice. The enemy ship spun, damaged but still fighting. "Direct hit," Linda said. "They're hurt but not out." Again, Paul said. "Focus fire on the lead ship. More rail." Cannons fired. This time, 3 shots hit the same spot. The enemy vessel broke apart, pieces flying in all directions. The other 2 attackers pulled back, vanishing into warp space. Silence fell over the battlefield. The crew didn't cheer. They stayed at their posts, watching the sensors. It was too soon to relax. The 3 black ships, the ones Earth had come to meet, drifted, one of them badly damaged. Its back half was gone, torn open by the enemy's first blast. The other, 2 moved slowly around it, as if protecting it. "Are they alive?" Paul asked. Linda checked the scans. "Yes, life signs on all 3. Weak, but stable. They're sending a signal now. Not the old one. Something new." "Play it," The voice came through, deep, slow, made of low tones and pulses. The translation appeared on screen. "You are not them. You are not the deliverers. Who are you?" Paul looked at Linda. "Can we answer?" "Yes." "We can send a reply. Simple message. Peace. Help. Do it." Linda typed the words. The signal was sent. For a long time, nothing happened. Then, a single light blinked on the largest black ship. A hatch opened. A small pod floated out, moving slowly toward the Vanguard. "They're sending someone," Tommy said. "Or something," Jake Morris added. Paul didn't stop it. "Let it come. But keep weapons ready." The pod docked. The airlock sealed. The crew waited, guns in hand, as the inner door opened. A being stepped out. It was tall, over 2 meters, with smooth gray skin and long limbs. Its head was shaped like an egg, with 3 dark eyes in a line. It wore a suit that shimmered like water. It did not speak. Instead, it raised one hand, palm forward. Linda stepped forward. She copied the gesture. The being lowered its hand. Then, from a device on its suit, words came, broken but clear. "I am Kale, of the Vey. We thought you were the ones who would save us. We are not your saviors," Paul said. "We are humans. We came because we heard your call." Kale tilted his head. "You heard?" "Yes, the signal. The one about the Allies. The convergence." Kyle's eyes dimmed. "Then you do not know." "Know what?" "The Allies were a myth. A story. We sent the signal hoping someone would come. Anyone. We did not think anyone would answer." Silence filled the room. Linda felt a weight in her chest. All this time, they had thought the Vey were waiting for friends. But they weren't. They were begging for help. "Who were you running from?" Paul asked. "The Karath," Kyle said. The word sounded like a growl. "They destroy worlds. They take what they want. They do not speak. They only kill. And they attacked you just now." "Yes, they follow us. They will not stop." Paul looked at Linda. She gave a small nod. "You're not alone anymore," Paul said. "We're here." Kale did not move for a long time. Then, slowly, he bowed his head. "Thank you," he whispered. Back on the bridge, the crew listened to the recording of the conversation. Some wiped their eyes. Others clenched their fists. Maria Ellis, the medic, asked, "Can we help them?" "We already are," Paul said. "But it's not enough. That fleet will come back, and next time, they might bring more." He turned to the fleet channel. "All ships, prepare for repair and resupply. We help the Vey fix their ships. We share our food, our power, our medicine, and we stand with them." The next days were busy. Engineers from Earth and Vey workers met in spacesuits, patching holes, replacing broken systems. Human medics treated the injured Vey using machines that read alien biology. The Vey shared data, maps of their old world, records of the Karath attacks, the path they had taken to escape. Linda spent hours with Kale, learning their language, their history. "We were peaceful," he told her. "We built cities of light. We studied the stars. We never fought. But the Karath came. They burned our sky. They killed billions. We ran with what was left." "Why didn't anyone help you before?" she asked. No one knew. "Our signal was weak. We did not have fast ships. We thought no one would hear." "We heard," Linda said. Kale looked at her. "You came, not because you were our allies, but because you chose to." Paul watched it all. He saw the way his crew treated the Vey, not as aliens, but as people. He saw the Vey children, small and quiet, playing with human toys. He saw the Vey elders, their eyes full of pain, finally resting. But he also saw the danger. The Karath would return. They always did. He called a meeting with his officers and Kale. "We can't stay here," he said. "This system is not safe. We need to move, find a new place, hide, or fight." Kale spoke softly. "We cannot run forever." "Then we fight," Paul said. "You would do that? For us?" "Yes. Because if we don't, who will? Earth has spent too long looking away from suffering." "Not this time," Linda added, "and we have something the Karath don't expect. We fight for others, not just for ourselves." The plan was made. The Earth fleet would escort the Vey ships to a distant star system, one that was quiet, hidden, rich in resources. On the way, they would train. Human and Vey soldiers would learn each other's weapons. The Vanguard would share its battle tactics. The Vey would teach their stealth tech, ships that could bend light and hide in plain sight. They would not be victims. They would be ready as the fleet prepared to leave. Paul stood on the observation deck. Linda joined him. "Do you think we're doing the right thing?" she asked. "I know we are," he said. "We didn't come here to rule. We came to help. That's what makes us different." Outside, the stars shone cold and bright. The Vey ships glowed with soft blue light. The Earth vessels stood guard around them. And then, one by one, the engines fired. Space bent. The fleet jumped. Behind them, the broken planet and the frozen wreckage faded into darkness. Ahead, a new path. And, somewhere out there, the Karath waited. But this time, they would not find prey. They would find a fight. In the year 2147, the edge of the solar system was quiet. Far beyond Mars, past Jupiter and Saturn, past the frozen rings of Uranus, there was a small human station floating near Neptune. It was called Outpost Kepler 9. It was not big. It had no windows to the outside, only screens showing the stars and the slow spin of the ice giant nearby. Inside, 5 people lived and worked, watching the dark. One of them was Linda Walsh. She was the commander. She had short brown hair, sharp eyes, and a voice that did not waste words. She had spent 18 years in space, first on Mars, then on Titan, and now here, at the edge of human reach. Her job was simple. Listen. Listen to the sky. Listen for anything strange, anything new. Most days there was nothing, just the soft hum of machines, the cold light of monitors, and the endless silence of space. But one morning, the quiet broke. An alarm sounded, soft at first, then louder. Linda was in the control room checking fuel levels when the alert flashed red on her screen. "What is it?" asked Jake Morris, the station's engineer. He was young, with messy hair and grease on his hands from fixing the oxygen filter. "Signal," Linda said. "Strong, not natural." Everyone stopped what they were doing. Maria Ellis, the medic, came in from the sleep pod. Tommy Reed, the data analyst, nearly dropped his coffee. "Where's it coming from?" Maria asked. "Epsilon Eridani," Linda said. 10.5 light years away. That was far, farther than any human ship had ever gone. Epsilon Eridani was a star, smaller than the sun, with a few planets orbiting it. Scientists had long thought it might have life, but no one had ever sent a message from there, until now. The signal was not random noise. It pulsed in a pattern, repeated every 9 seconds. It had numbers, prime sequences, basic math, the kind of thing only a thinking mind would send. "It's a message," Tommy said, his voice shaking a little. "Someone is trying to talk." Linda didn't smile. She didn't cheer. She just stared at the screen. Her mind was already moving fast. Who sent it? Why now? And most important, what did they want? She recorded the signal and sent it to Earth. The message traveled at light speed, taking over 10 years to reach the Global Space Command in Denver. But thanks to quantum data compression, the full analysis came back in just 3 days. The results were clear. The signal was artificial, intelligent, and it was a call, not a greeting, not a warning, a call for help. The message said 3 things, hidden in layers of code. First, convergence soon. Second, Allied forces expected. Third, prepare for arrival. Linda read the report twice. Her hands were steady, but her heart was not. They think someone is coming, she said, and they think that someone is their friend. But we never sent anyone, Jake said. No, Linda agreed. We didn't. So who did? Back on Earth, the news spread fast. Governments met in secret. Scientists debated on TV. People looked up at the night sky with new fear and new hope. Was this first contact? Was it a trap? Or was it something bigger? The world had changed slowly after the unification of the Global Space Initiative. After the wars on Mars, after the ice mines of Europa, after the first warp test in 2130, Earth had begun to reach further, not just for resources, but for answers. Are we alone? Now, maybe. They had one. The leaders in Denver made a choice. They would not wait. They would not hide. They would go to Epsilon Eridani and see for themselves. But they would not go empty-handed. Admiral Paul Greer was put in charge. He was old for a space commander, with gray hair and a scar across his left eyebrow from a training accident decades ago. He had fought in the Titan Rebellion, where miners had tried to break free from Earth's control. He had ended the war, with words, not bullets. That was why they trusted him. We don't know who they are, he told the council. But we know one thing. If we don't show up, someone else will, and we won't like what happens next. Earth had ships. Not many, but fast ones. The USS Vanguard was the largest, 5 kilometers long, built like a blade, with engines that could bend space for short jumps. It carried weapons, yes, but also medics, scientists, and peace envoys. Paul's orders were clear. Go to Epsilon Eridani. Find the source of the signal. Protect human interests. Avoid war if possible. But be ready. Linda Walsh was asked to join the mission. She said yes without hesitation. You don't have to go, Paul told her over secure call. You've done enough. I started this, she said. I want to see it through. The fleet took shape. 12 big ships, 30 smaller ones, thousands of people. It was the largest human force ever sent beyond the solar system. As the ships prepared, Linda stayed on Kepler 9, watching the signal. It kept coming, every 9 seconds, like a heartbeat. Then, one day, it changed. The pattern shifted. The numbers grew more complex, and for the first time there was a voice, not human, not even close. It was deep, slow, made of tones and pulses. But when the computers translated it, the meaning was clear. They are coming. The Allies arrive in 162 days. Prepare the gates. Linda felt a chill. Allies? Jake asked. Who are the Allies? We don't know, she said. But someone thinks we're them. Or worse, someone thinks we're in their way. On Earth, the countdown began. 162 days. That's how long they had. Paul gave the order. Set course for Epsilon Eridani. Jump in 7 days. The world watched. Cities lit up in celebration. Schools taught the children about the stars. Some people prayed. Others packed their bags, afraid that war would follow the fleet. Linda left Kepler 9 for the last time. She stood in the airlock, looking back at the small station that had been her home for 3 years. Goodbye, she whispered. Then she stepped inside the transport ship and was carried to the Vanguard. The day of the jump came. All ships lined up in orbit around Mars. The engines glowed blue. The countdown played across every screen on Earth. 2, 1. And then, space bent. The fleet vanished in a flash of light. For a moment, there was silence. Then, deep in the void, near a distant star, sensors woke up. Something had arrived. The Vanguard and its fleet dropped out of warp near a broken planet. Rocks the size of cities floated in silence. Metal wreckage drifted like snow. None of it was human. Linda stood on the bridge looking at the view screen. "This place has seen war," she said. Paul stood beside her. "And we just walked into the middle of it." Then the alarm sounded again. 3 huge ships appeared from behind a gas giant. Black, smooth, shaped like blades. They were moving fast, and they were broadcasting the same signal, the one that had called for allies. Paul looked at Linda. "Do you think they're friendly?" "I don't know," she said. "But they're expecting someone." Before Paul could answer, a new light flashed at the edge of the system. Another fleet was coming, bigger, darker, moving like a storm, and they were firing. The first shot hit one of the black ships. It exploded in silence, a fireball with no sound. Paul didn't wait. "All ships, battle stations, shields up, weapons hot." Linda gripped her seat. Her heart pounded. This was not a meeting. This was a war, and Earth had just arrived. The Fenrir rose from the ice like a beast waking from a long sleep. Its dark armor gleamed under Jupiter's distant light. Thrusters fired, shaking the ground. Snow and rock exploded outward as the war titan stood tall, 12 stories of metal, fire, and fury. Inside the cockpit, Claire Bennett breathed slowly. Her hands rested on the controls. She had trained for this, dreamed of it, but never thought she would live to see it. 52 years in stasis. No dreams, no time, just dark, then light. They had told her everything on the way down. The Cathar. We're back. Proxima B was gone. Elena Morris had died holding the line. Jason Cole had brought the warning. And now, Earth was at war. "You don't have to do this," the tech had said before sealing the hatch. Claire looked at him. "Yes, I do." The link engaged. Her mind touched the core. Data flooded in. Power levels, weapon status, terrain maps. The Fenrir was newer than the Azer. Faster. Smarter. It had been built in secret after the First War, just in case. And now, the case had come. She lifted the Titan off the ground. It moved smoothly, like it had been waiting for her. Thrusters roared as it shot into the sky, breaking through the thin atmosphere of Europa. Ahead, the fleet waited near Saturn. Not a big fleet, not like before. But it was growing. Ships from Earth, Mars, and the outer colonies had gathered. Old cruisers, fast fighters, even converted freighters armed with cannons. They flew under one flag, the Terran Alliance. At the center was the USS. Knight, now flagship, with Jason Cole on board as tactical advisor. When the Fenrir arrived, every ship went silent. Then one by one they sent a signal. "Welcome back." Claire didn't answer. She moved the Fenrir to the front line. "This is Captain Claire Bennett," she said over the open channel. "The Cathar took our world. They took our people. They took our future. But they made one mistake." She paused. "They woke us up." A new alert flashed. Enemy contact. 3 Cathar dreadnoughts had broken through the Uranus line. They were moving fast, heading straight for Earth. "They're not just attacking," Jason said, studying the data. "They're testing us, seeing what we've got." Claire nodded through the comms. "Then let's give them a show." She pushed the Fenrir forward. The fleet followed. The battle began near the rings of Saturn. The dreadnoughts fired first. Blue, beams cutting through space. A freighter exploded. A fighter spun out, burning. Claire didn't flinch. She aimed the Fenrir's pulse cannon, a weapon that fired energy bursts tuned to the Cathar weak frequency. The first shot hit the lead ship's side. The armor cracked. Smoke poured out. "Again," she said. The second shot struck the core. Vent. The dreadnought shook. Then it split in half, exploding in silence. The second dreadnought tried to run, but 2 Terran cruisers blocked its path. Missiles rained down. It fell, burning into Saturn's clouds. The third turned to fight. It fired at the Fenrir. Beam after beam hit the Titan's chest. Armor melted. Alarms rang. But Claire held her ground. Shield at 40%, the core said. Activate blade systems, she said. Panels on the Fenrir's arms opened. Long, glowing blades slid out. Plasma edges hot enough to cut through dreadnought hulls. She charged. The Fenrir flew at the ship, dodging beams. It grabbed the dreadnought and drove the blades into its bridge. The ship died fast. Silence returned. The fleet floated in the dark, damaged but alive. They had won. Not a big victory, but a real one, and it was seen. Across the solar system, the battle was broadcast. Every colony, every ship, every home received the feed, the Fenrir standing over a dead dreadnought, its blades still glowing. People watched, and they believed. In the days that followed, more joined. Miners on Ceres armed their drills and called themselves fighters. Scientists on Titan built signal jammers to stop the Cathar from converting more people. Kids on Mars painted the Fenrir on their school walls. Hope was back. But the war wasn't over. Deep in space, the main Cathar fleet moved closer. Hundreds of ships. No rush, no fear. They had crushed civilizations before. They believed humanity was just another. They were wrong. On Earth, General Crane stood in the war room. Jason sat at the table, covered in maps and data. "They'll come in waves," he said. "First, scouts, then medium ships, finally the big ones. We need to be ready for all of them." She nodded. "We've got 2 Titans now, the Fenrir and the Aesir's design has been shared. Factories on the moon are building the Thor and the Odin. They'll be ready in 6 months. "We don't have 6 months, Jason said. "Then, we fight with what we've got." And they did. Over the next few weeks, small battles broke out across the system. A Cathar scout ship near Pluto was destroyed by a group of ice miners using harpoons and bombs. Near Venus, a hidden Terran base fired a solar-powered laser, wiping out a whole drone fleet. Each fight was hard. Each cost lives. But each taught them something. They learned the Cathar could not fight in close space. Their ships were strong, but slow to turn. They relied on control signals. If the signal died, the converted stopped. And most important, they did not adapt fast. Humans. Claire flew the Fenrir in every major clash. She became a symbol, not just a pilot, a leader. When she spoke, ships followed. Jason stayed on the night, planning attacks, using Elena's old files, finding weak points. Then, one day, a new signal came, not from the Cathar, from Proxima. A weak pulse. Repeating, "I am alive," it said. "I am human." Claire and Jason looked at each other. "It can't be," Jason said. But the voice was clear. It was Elena Morris, or someone who sounded like her. The signal cut out. Was it a trick? A Cathar trap? Or had she somehow survived the blast? Claire made a choice. "Set course for Proxima B," she said. "We're not leaving anyone behind." The Fenrir turned. Behind it, the fleet followed. The war was far from over. But now, they fought not just to survive. They fought to remember and to bring their people home.